We're all here listening to Tori's speech. And it's me.
Okay, hello, my name is Tori Payne, and this is Designer Babies. So we all started in a world where, like with American Girl dolls, where we could create any kind that we wanted to, whatever hair we wanted, whatever eye color we wanted, whatever we wanted. And then we went to the world of designer babies. So when I'm talking about designer babies, this is what I mean. As you can see, there's a baby here who has a high IQ, who has a low risk of Alzheimer's, who has great athletic ability, perfect pitch. So this is what I mean when you have a designer baby. You're able to create a baby to your standards is basically what it is. So in the article, Ethics of Designer Babies, the author explains how a designer baby is genetically engineered in vitro for specially selected traits. So when I talk about vitro means in glass. So you are basically making a baby in a test tube or in a bowl. But the initial purpose of a designer baby was to lower the risk of diseases in humans. So nowadays, people are using this to be gender specific or have certain characteristics that you want in your child. So what I want to think about with this is genetic engineering curing diseases, or is it creating a niche market for market of designer babies? So some things I'm going to talk about are genetic engineering, who, what, why, what diseases and maladies that this process could eliminate, and also the social implications of designer babies. So before designer babies became a term, it all started with genetic engineering. And the father of genetic engineering is George Mendel, or Georg Mendel. And he was an Austrian monk who basically started the study by the study of heredity. So he first observed plants and saw that the offspring of a plant took certain characteristics from that plant and transferred it to the offspring. So say you have a parent with brown eyes. Both of your parents have brown eyes. There's going to be a higher chance that you too have brown eyes, so you're passing on those traits. So in the article, Genetic Engineering Today, The Promise and the Ethics, genetic engineering changes a person's genome by introducing new DNA or taking the underlying DNA of the host. So a genome is the complete set of genes and genetic material in a cell. So it basically makes you what you are. So it makes you up. So what genetic engineering is you replace the DNA, your DNA, with essentially something better. So I have a visual here. As you can see that there's an original piece of DNA and there's a part missing. Well, that is replaced with something else, and this could be like replacing it with the lower risk of getting heart disease or different other types of diseases. So now that you know what happens in genetic engineering, let's take a look at what this could do. So there are many diseases and maladies that this could eliminate in the future. So according to the article from Business Insider, there are 5 terrible illnesses that genetic engineering could eliminate if the technology allows it. So the first one that this article mentions is HIV. So HIV is a sexually transmitted disease that could turn into AIDS later on. The next one is some form of genetic blindness. And then they also mention familial hypocholesterol, which is caused with a defect in the chromosome 19. And this basically means that you have a high level of bad cholesterol. And the next one that they mentioned was sickle cell anemia. And so this means that your healthy blood cells will turn into a sickle cell. And a sickle cell looks like an arch. And that kills those blood cells, and you have a shortage of healthy blood cells. And then the last one they mention is hemophilia. And this is when your blood doesn't clot properly. So you are more prone to bleeding easily. So if you just bump your leg on a chair, you're going to bleed more easily. So as you can see, there are many advantages to this designer baby. You will have lower risk of diseases, and the human race will be at a really good advantage. But there are still some disadvantages and speculations that people do have about this process. So there are social implications of designer babies. In the article Ethics of Designer Babies, the author explains if this technology becomes a realistic and accessible medical practice, then it would create a division between those that can afford the service and those that cannot. So obviously this technology would be super expensive to the consumer. So the upper class in the society would have a more advantage toward this new technology, and it would leave the poor with a disadvantage. And so they will not be able to take advantage of this technology. So in the same article, they also mention that economic divisions may grow into genetic divisions. So there's already an economic divide within this. The upper class has more advantage toward this and can take this technology, whereas the lower class cannot afford it. And that alone creates a genetic division too. That because the rich and the wealthy already have their upper hand in the genetic pool and can create healthier humans, whereas the poor is still left with these risks of diseases. And so it creates that divide. Now, some people also still fear that this could be a use for power. Like in history, we had Hitler, who wanted to create the ultimate Aryan race, and he was killing people off to do this. So people have a fear that it could lead to a less diverse society. So in closing, designer babies are coming more of a reality today. Georg Mendel opened the doors of genetic engineering when he started off the study of heredity, and this led to the development of designer babies, which could reduce many diseases and let the humans have a more advantage. But as advantages do come, there are still disadvantages, and this new technology could create not only an economic divide, but also a genetic divide. So in the years to come, we will see how the development in technology will take us. Is designer babies going to continue to make more advances in technology every day, or is it going to continue to dwell in the world of science fiction? Thank you.
Woohoo!
Good job.
All right, we're still all
All
here.
right, which one of you are next?
And me.